Welcome to Drunk Dog Creative. Today, I've got a Scrapbuster for you. This is a quilted card where when you've got those little pieces of really nice papers left over, you don't want to throw them out, but you don't know what to do with them. We call cards made with them Scrapbusters. So this one is a quilted Scrapbuster because you also use your sewing machine. You can see I've done a Christmas card using the beautiful Shining Brightly designer series paper in the themes of Very Vanilla and Night of Navy with stamps from the Night Divine stamp set. And this was such gorgeous paper, I didn't want to waste the bits that were left over. I've also done something similar with the other designer series paper from the online exclusives and with the Polar Bear set of stamps where I've done something there. This one was, again, a Scrapbuster for me. I can't even remember what paper this is, but it was left over. And some stamps from two different stamp sets I had and some embellishments left over. These are all in the Australian A6 card size, but I also made one in the US A2 card size. And I did something a little different with this in that I put a die cut or a punched out dragonfly instead of just a sentiment. As you can see, not all of the sentiments panels are the same size. I'm going to give you instructions for this size on the O Holy Night card and for this size for my American friends. But you can actually make those front two panels any size you want to suit the sentiment and the size of the card you're making. So it makes it really easy. So let's talk about how to make these. So let's talk about the cut plan. Let me start with the Australian A6 size card. So for your card base, for which I've used Very Vanilla, I have cut this at 210 millimeters by 148 millimeters, and it's scored at 105 millimeters. And that gives you your A6 Australian, UK, Canadian card size. Then my mat that layers over it, the mat is going to be 143 millimeters by 100 millimeters tall. Then for the sentiment I'm going to use for this card, what I've done is the front mat is 80 millimeters by 65 millimeters. And the top piece, which is where your sentiment goes, is 75 millimeters by 60 millimeters. But like I said, you can cut these pieces any size you want to suit whatever front you want to put on the card. And then here's the star of the show, our scraps. So from this set, I made one scrap of each of the 6 designs. So you need 6 scrap pieces. And for the A6 card size, these are 45 millimeters by 45 millimeters square. And you need 6 of them. And they can be any mix of what you want. Now, for the American card, for the A2 American card, I have a card base that was 8.5 inches across and 5.5 inches tall, scored at 4.25 and folded in half. Of course, I just turned it that way. This mat, which is the gorgeous grape color, that is 4 inches, 5.25 inches across by 4 inches tall. And then the quilt pieces, which you can see I've quilted onto here, they're rectangular. They're a little bit different to the Aussie one to give it just a more fullness. So they are 1.5 inches across and 1.75 inches down. And the front mat and the front sentiment are... So another thing I've done that's optional is the inside writing area. When a card is vanilla or white, you don't usually need one. But if the front has some layers on it, it sometimes overbalances it when it's standing up. So it's not only pretty, but helpful to add some weight to the inside. So I took another scrap piece of the same DSP and another piece of Very Vanilla to layer. So this inside mat is 143 by 100, and the writing mat is 133 by 90. Now, for Now for the American card, I haven't put one in because again, it's white. But if you do want to do that, then the inside mat should be 5.25 by 4. And the second mat for the writing area should be 5 by 3.75. All right, so this is how we're going to assemble this card. Now, I've gone ahead and embossed my front sentiment already. I've used this beautiful stamp from the Night Divine stamp bundle. It says, "The stars are shining brightly." Then I've taken what's called a star trinket, which is also on sale just till the end of December, and added that. So I'll put that aside for now. Let me show you how to get these quilt pieces lined up so that you can do it. Now, instead of using my Stampin' Seal, which I use all the time, I've actually got a repositional tape. This is just an Easy Grand Runner. You can use any adhesive tape glue that you want, but I highly recommend something repositional because this part's a little fiddly and you want to be able to pick them up and move them. And I find the glue is a little too messy for this particular project, but that's a personal choice. So I'm going to use the repositional tape for this part. First thing you want to do is lay your pieces out in whatever order you decide you want them in. I like alternating colors and patterns. When you've got 6 and 3, 2 of the patterns are going to match up. So I am putting the 2 stars in the middle because I think it's the least colorful or visually appealing of the 2, and the sentiment will partially cover it. And then I've put the other pieces so that the same patterns are opposite and colors are opposite. So that's sort of the layout I worked out. You probably want to start with the middle piece first. And what I'm going to do is do an X of repositional tape because you're going to sew these down. And I'm going to try to, if I put this square, I'm going to try to center it. And what I want to do is hold a non-glued one kind of next to it to see if I can get that outside border kind of even. Yep, and then another one below it to get the top and bottom border even. So it is a little bit fiddly. Once I've got one middle piece done, it's easy to do the others. And this is why you want it repositional too, because if it's not quite right, you can then go back and move it around. So use something that is repositional. If you're using glue, make sure it's not quick drying because you really do want to be able to fiddle with these. But if you make a few of them, you kind of get the hang for it. Now you can see how that border is wider than that one. So now I want to move them a little bit. And this is why we use repositional adhesive. So that's my card front with the pasting. After you sew it, we're then going to paste it here and then add the sentiments in the inside. But I'm now going to take you over to my sewing machine and try and show you how it works. But basically you do a zigzag stitch around the outside, across the middle, and then down, down those 2 strips. So be right back. Welcome back. I am now sitting at my sewing machine, and I don't know how this is going to go because I've never tried to film here before, and I certainly don't have good lighting. But I have set my sewing machine on a zigzag stitch, and the width and length is up to you, but I usually use the standard 3.0 width and 2.0 length, and it's just a zigzag. So I'm just going to sew right around the edge. And just lift and go around the corner. And the great thing about this is It doesn't have to be perfect, which is fabulous because sewing is not one of my crafty skills that I'm good at. It's meant to look a bit messy, homemadey. I'm sure the real quilters watching this will kill me for that. I'm so sorry. I know your work is beautiful. I have friends who are quilters who are great, but this doesn't have to be perfect for the card to be effective. So I've gone all the way around the edge, and then I've cut the thread, and I'm sorry this camera's shaking. And then I'm going to go down those two and across that one. Now I've used a navy blue thread here to pick up the Night of Navy colors. Honestly, if I had a metallic gold thread, I probably would have used that. You could also use a very vanilla thread. Any thread that enhances, contrasts, or goes with your quilted pieces on the front is fine. So let me go run the rest of this through, and then I can go back to the other desk. And there you have all the pieces quilted. And you can just snip off any ends that are hanging out. The other thing is it doesn't matter what your bobbin thread is. I've left the black that I usually have in there because you're only going to see the top. And now I'm back to the normal camera position. As you can see, I've just added that little bit of texture and interest by doing the zigzag. I'm just going to snip the little bits of threads that are showing on the front and on the back. And now I'm back to my wonderful Stampin' Seal for assembling the card. So from here on in, it's really easy. I'm just going to put some adhesive around the back of the card. And you can go right over the threads, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to line that to the card base, which I should square off before I do that. And just kind of line it up so that there's a nice even border all the way around. And it's that bit done. Keep finding bits of string. And then you're going to assemble the front piece. And this is simply, again, Stampin' Seal or glue or whatever you want to use on the front. And then square up the other piece and try to get an even border. And I'm going to mount that on there with some dimensionals to just lift it up a little bit and give it a little bit more texture and dimension. So I'm just going to pop a couple of these on here. I usually do the corners and the middle on something this size. So dimensionals are like hexagon-shaped foam tape. And because of their unique shape, you can line them up in different ways to get into places that might be harder to reach. If you have an odd-shaped object, they also come in black and they come in mini. And I love these. These are one of my must-haves. All right, so now that I've got those on, again, I'm going to square this up on my grid. And then I'm going to put this in the middle and just press on those dimensionals. And then the card is done. That easy. So there's my beautiful Christmas card. It's a Scrapbuster. If you want to do the inside mat system, I would then simply layer these together with adhesive and then layer it on the inside with adhesive. So then you'd have a matted inside as well as the front. And there you go.